Margaret Mack, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from Buffalo Rising on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. First article, pushes on for long-needed white elephant legislation. New York State Senator April Baskin held a news conference on Monday at the Central Terminal to advocate for a measure to address New York State's largest and most chronically vacant historic buildings, commonly known as white elephants. These structures are defined as certified historic buildings that are very large in scale and have been vacant for at least 10 of the past 15 years and require more than $50 million to rehabilitate. The proposed legislation strengthens the New York State Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit Program, an already successful economic development program. The New York State Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit has been a resounding success since 2010, Senator Baskin said. But the current $5 million cap is simply not enough to tackle these significantly larger projects. By strengthening that incentive, we make it financially realistic to bring these properties back to life. We shouldn't let buildings like these sit vacant when they could be economic engines for our communities. Senate Bill S6021A would raise the cap on average credits from $5 million to $15 million for qualifying white elephant buildings. The State Historic Preservation Office has identified 35 buildings statewide that could qualify, including Buffalo's Richardson Olmsted Campus, Central Terminal, and potentially the DL&W Terminal, Statler Tower, and former AM&A's buildings, and the Pierce Aero Factory. The companion bill, A10366, has been introduced by Assemblymember Pamela Hunter, a Democrat from Syracuse. J. DiLorenzo, president of the Preservation League of New York State, said this bill will prevent the loss of major historic properties through demolition by neglect and drive economic growth. Every dollar in tax credits generates roughly $4 in private investment. State tax credit leverage federal funding and private investment, stabilize neighborhoods, support new businesses, and create new housing. Increasing this cap may well determine whether these buildings are saved and reused or lost forever, Senator Baskin concluded. Next article, under the subject of business, Buffalo Place names Peter Burakowski as its next executive director. This is written by Queen's Eyes. The Board of Directors of Buffalo Place approved the hiring of Peter Burakowski as the organization's new executive director. Burakowski is taking the place of longstanding executive director Michael T. Schmand, who retired in 2025 after nearly 30 years at the helm. A priority of our candidate choice was someone with the vision and experience to increase Buffalo Place's impact on creating an even more vibrant and active downtown, said Search Committee Chair Chris Jacobs. Burakowski most recently held a position at 43 North, Buffalo-based accelerator program, as VP of Marketing and Organizational Strategy. During his time there, he was active in helping to grow 43 North's portfolio by more than 50 companies from across North America and around the world. He was also involved with the creation of the Accelerator Program's annual startup competition. That effort has helped to raise more than $403 million in venture capital, while creating over 600 jobs in Buffalo. Before that, Burakowski, who is also a musician, helped to plan the Buffalo Historic Museum's Party on the Patio. It's an event series during his stint as Director of Communications. But it was Burakowski's ties with 43 North that really sealed the deal for his new position at Buffalo Place. We want as many 43 North spin-offs to stay in downtown, and we believe Peter is naturally positioned to make that a reality, said Buffalo Place Board Chair Steve Carmina. Burkowski also has close ties with the University of Buffalo, as he currently serves as the Learning Instructions Director of Startup Ventures. Through that endeavor, he and his team have invested in more than 40 startups across the Western New York region. We see many of Peter's past roles and relationships as folks we want to partner with for downtown, said Jacobs. I am tremendously excited to roll up my sleeves and help make downtown Buffalo a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant district, both today and for generations to come, said Burkowski. Buffalo Place has a fantastic staff, board, and community partners. Together, we will be ambitious, strategic, forward-thinking, and creative to ensure that downtown is the ideal place to live, work, and play. Burkowski will begin his tenure during the last week of April. And under the subject of development, this is by the Buffalo Rising staff, big reveal, 375 Michigan Avenue. Affordable housing developers are keeping busy. Beacon Community Services LLC is proposing a 5-story, 157-unit affordable apartment building for a 2.16-acre site located at the southwest corner of Michigan Avenue and East Eagle Street on the edge of downtown. The L-shaped building will occupy a site currently occupied by a former KFC restaurant on the western edge of the Ellicott Town Center complex. The $56 million project was designed by Labella Associates. A mix of 1 to 3 bedroom units are planned, along with a fitness center, community room, laundry, and inside bike storage. 71 parking spots are proposed. In 2021, Beacon's predecessor, North Star Development, proposed a 3-building project for the site that included 2 4-unit townhouses building along Eagle Street and a 3-story building with an undisclosed number of units fronting Michigan Avenue. And on the east side of Buffalo, Broadway Market renovation is set to begin. After several years of planning, renovations at the Broadway Market are expected to begin this summer. Capital funding for the $40 to $45 million renovation is from Empire State Development and Operations, supported by BMMI, is funded by the Regional Revitalization Partnership, RRP, a multi-year $300 million collaborative initiative between New York State's Empire State Development, ESD, local municipalities, and private philanthropic partners. Downtown Revitalization Initiative funds provided by New York State Department of State are also included in the capital funding for the Broadway Fillmore neighborhood. The overall design of the revitalization will include, first, a renovation of the internal layout and circulation within the market to cluster year-round vendors along a central main aisle with adjoining areas for growth and incorporation of expanded areas for prepared foods and food production. Next, raising a rear parking structure that has experienced significant deterioration and replacement with a multi-purpose surface parking loading area that can also host outdoor events. Next, restoration of various charter-defining features such as the modern curved walls and window features of the building's facade and highlighting of the structure's internal concrete elements. Also, incorporation of new vendor stalls and improved mechanical, electrical, and other internal systems. And finally, new iconic sign elements and lighting on the Broadway and rear facades. Broadway Market Management Incorporated, a new not-for-profit corporation, has been established in coordination with ESD to operate the city-owned public market building. Our vision has always been a thriving Broadway market for the East Side, and today we're one step closer, said Empire State Development President, CEO, and Commissioner Hope Knight. With major state and regional revitalization partnership investment, we're turning the tide on decades of decline and pursuing a plan that firmly reestablishes the market as a bustling hub in the heart of the Broadway Fillmore neighborhood. In February, the proposed design for the market was determined eligible for a Type 2 Historic Preservation certification by the National Park Service, which will enable the project to receive historic tax credit financing. The Broadway market, built in 1956, it is eligible for inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places and is recognized as part of the Broadway Fillmore Local Historic District. The market, which occupied two prior buildings on the site, has been in place at this location since 1888 and has historically played an important role as a center for year-round, international, owner-operated, affordable, fresh, and prepared food shops and neighborhood services. As the community around it has changed, the market is now seeking to maximize its relevance to Broadway Fillmore and to expand its customer base to serve as a sustainable stimulus for neighborhood development, as well as an attraction for the entire region. ESD, in coordination with BMMI, has been working with a design team led by Flynn Battaglia Architects and a construction management team led by Buffalo Construction Consultants to prepare construction documents, independent cost estimates, and a construction staging plan to allow the market and its vendors to remain open, albeit in a modified manner, during the estimated 24-month construction period. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Rising on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And under the subject of events and festivals, this article by Queen's Eyes. Wheatcheck's 2026 Polka Contest on Dingus Day. With Dingus Day right around the corner, Monday, April 6th, Buffalonians are busy formulating their festive plans. Some people will be heading to the beer tents, with Tajski Polish beer, of course, while others will go in search of live music. Yes, there are certainly plenty of options, as seen here in the official Dingus Day program, which I don't have clicked on yet. To date, I've seen a lot of fun and exciting things to do and try, but one activity in particular really caught my eye. Have you ever danced polka? I'm not talking about in the shower with a removable shower head as your microphone. I'm talking about dancing in a polka contest. This year, Wheatcheck's, known for having some of the best sandwiches in the land, is lining up a polka contest for anyone that wants to throw their black and red dots into the ring. The contest will feature live music with Dave Krakowski, with special guest accordion Bill. To add some nostalgia to the mix, the contest will be judged by Buffalo's very own Danny Nebrith of Danny Moves Your Fanny in the Morning fame. Wheatcheck's Dingus Day party is free admission, with lots of Polish food and beer being served up throughout the day. They will also be showing the Sabres game as well as the NCAA championship game. Doors open at 11 a.m. WeChex is an official shuttle stop on Dingus Day. To view the full program, you can click, which I can't do, including information on the parade route, live music venues, the Pussy Willow Pass, the Dingus Day Dash, shuttle routes, and anything else that you want to know about this Oh So Buffalo Festival that takes place in and around the heart of Palangna District. And next, under Arts and Culture, this article by Buffalo Rising, Construction Watch, Hispanic Heritage Cultural Institute. Work continues on the Hispanic Heritage Cultural Institute at the northwest corner of Niagara and Hudson Streets. The three-story 37,000 square foot building developed by the Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York. The Institute will include a museum, an art gallery, and a performing arts center, which is planned to be the new home of the Reese's Theater Company. The theater will host various productions, panels, and speaker series, and will be available to the community to rent. The theater will serve the community as a multifunctional assembly space and will be open to local schools, churches, and other clubs and organizations for community performances. The building will also include a cafe, gift shop, media center, learning labs, and administrative spaces. Also under the subject of real estate downtown, this article by Buffalo Rising, 20% of downtown office space is vacant. The downtown office market took a slight step backwards in the last quarter of last year, according to analysis by CBRE Upstate New York. Downtown office vacancy continues to increase while the overall regional vacancy rate fell slightly from 16.5% to 16.3%, with 78,286 square feet of positive absorption. This from CBRE. The Central Business District is still impacted by ongoing contractions and tenant shifts, leading to negative absorption of 118,221 square feet. The city CBD supermarkets' total vacancy increased slightly, up by 0.7 percentage points to 20.2%. Very little office space is under construction in the region. 131,570 square feet of space was completed in the quarter, while 204,767 square feet is underway or in the planning phase. Healthcare and medical space lead the way, particularly in the city, including Evergreens Health, Kensington Bailey Health Center, and Endeavor Health Services planned clinic at 1420 Broadway. There is some good news on the horizon, not from leasing activity, but by reduction in inventory. D'Youville University is leasing Uniland Developments 285 Delaware Avenue for its College of Medicine. The Dunn building is being converted into apartments, taking that office space off the market. CBRE takes note. The office conversion trend is accelerating and will only help reduce low-demand product in tandem with paused office construction, which will help stability and overall vacancy. In late 2025, it was announced that the 189,000 square foot Bank of America building in the Central Business District is slated for conversion to residential use. As the office market rebalances, moving outdated office space in the city's core remains essential. Office to residential conversions have proved to be difficult in the city within older building stock, resulting in higher conversion costs and requiring governmental subsidies. And this next article is by Daniel Lenzian. Taste New York, a local one-stop shop for the state's best flavors. Buffalonians looking to explore the flavors of New York State don't have to travel far. Taste New York, a program launched over a decade ago, celebrates the quality, diversity, and economic impact of food and beverage grown, produced, or processed right here in New York. Taste New York is a statewide program created to promote and support food and beverage products made right here in New York State, said Molly Vigas, Taste New York market manager. The goal is to connect consumers with local producers, farmers, specialty food makers, wineries, breweries, and more, while helping those businesses reach new customers. At the Taste New York at the New York Welcome Center, we act as a gateway to the region. Visitors and locals can discover products from across the state, learn about where they come from, and experience the incredible diversity of New York agriculture in one place. New York's agricultural industry is booming, with more than 7 million acres of farmland and 36,000 farms statewide. The state is a national leader in apples, maple syrup, and honey, and a powerhouse in craft beverages, and is currently ranking first in hard cider producers, second in the craft distillers, third in breweries, and fourth in wineries. Taste New York benefits everyone because it strengthens the entire local food economy, Vigas said. When people buy New York products, they're directly supporting farmers, small businesses, and rural communities across the state. Programs like this also create more visibility for producers who may not have the resources to reach large markets on their own. By introducing travelers and residents to local products, we're helping keep food dollars in New York while also encouraging agritourism and regional pride. For Western New Yorkers, one of the most visible places to experience Taste New York is at the New York Welcome Center on Grand Island. It serves as a hub for local food and tourism information, Vigas explained. But Taste New York products can be found in a lot of places throughout Western New York. Farmers markets, farm stands, wineries, breweries, and local retailers that carry New York-made goods. The program also operates other Taste New York markets across the state and participates in festivals and community events where people can discover these products. Vigas encourages locals to start small. The easiest way is simply to start exploring, she said. Visit a Taste New York location, attend a local farmers market, or look for the Taste New York logo when you're shopping for food and beverages. Trying even one local product can open the door to discovering so many others. For producers interested in joining the program, Vigas notes, the program is a great opportunity to reach new audiences. Producers who use New York grown or New York made ingredients can apply to become part of the program and potentially have their products featured in Taste New York markets like ours. Most importantly, Taste New York is really about celebrating the people behind the products, the farmers, the makers, and entrepreneurs who make New York's food culture so unique. Operated locally by Cornell Cooperative Extension of Erie County, the Western New York Welcome Center location allows Taste New York to directly showcase the state's farmers and food entrepreneurs. Cornell Cooperative Extension has a long history of supporting agriculture, education, and local communities. Through Taste New York, we're able to bring the mission directly to the public, Vigas said. Taste New York at the Western New York Welcome Center at 1999 Alvin Road, exit 19 off the 190 in Grand Island, is open daily from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with extended hours 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. June through August. Questions or inquiries, including vendor applications, can be directed to Erie Taste New York at cornell.edu, or call 716-773-0970. And finally, we have a history article by Jay Snodgrass, The Buffalo Body Snatchers. Grave robbing has been a Buffalo pastime since the start. When the residents of small church lawn burial grounds were relocated to Forest Lawn Cemetery in 1851, many skeletons were found to be missing their skulls, which were worth a pretty penny, maybe even a Buffalo nickel, to medical schools and private collectors. But the most famous case of buffalo body snatching was in November of 1881. On Thursday morning, Superintendent Troop of the cemetery notified Captain Cable of Precinct 6 that the grave of Edward Burham had been tampered with, and a search had disclosed the body hidden in the park near the cemetery fence. Under these circumstances, it was natural to expect that the captain would capture the ghouls by placing a watch of policemen near the body, but Cable imprudently drove out to view the body wearing his full uniform in broad daylight. The grave diggers must have been in league with the body snatchers. No professional or amateur reconstructionist would take the body up, carry it over the fence, and then leave it to take the chances of coming for it again. Indications are that one or more of the grave diggers lifted the body and hid it in the park for the parties who came after it in the evening. These latter chose a very suspicious time for taking the body. They came at 6 o'clock. Captain Cable, who probably thought the crisis would occur at midnight in the regular style, arrived in time to capture the horse and buggy. The obvious key words in the newspaper account are ghouls and resurrectionists, which convey a spectrum of attitudes toward grave plundering. But on closer reading, ordinary words become more interesting. For example, that it was natural to expect grave robbers at midnight, the regular time for the activity, but it was suspicious to drag a dead body around the park at 6 in the evening. The article also seemed to think it's all right to steal a cadaver for religious purposes, but downright sinister to use one for medical research. And this from the Buffalo News on November 17, 1881. It is rumored that the body was not lifted for medical purposes, but on account of religious differences in the family, and that the intention was to rebury him in the consecrated soil of a Catholic cemetery. It is said that this case of body snatching is not the first that has occurred, and that from time to time graves have been desecrated with impunity in the cemeteries in the neighborhood of Buffalo, and the body sold to medical students. Anticipating sudden developments, the medical fraternity are on the defensive. If a raid was made on a certain medical institute, bodies could be found which have been resurrected by ghouls in league with the grave diggers. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Rising. We read from Buffalo Rising on Fridays at 8:30 a.m. Your reader has been Margaret Mack. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service with broadcast studios at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga. Radio readings are broadcast 24 hours a day, every day, to area people who are blind or have a print disability. This year, our agency marks almost 40 years on the air with more than 300,000 hours of radio readings to those without sight. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service website is nfradioreading.org. For more information, call 716-821-5555. Good morning. Welcome to another broadcast day on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, a private not-for-profit organization. As always, please feel free to contact us with your comments, suggestions, and questions you may have. Our phone number here is area code 716-821-5555. As always, as I mentioned, please feel free to contact us. You can find all the ways on our website, nfradioreading.org. And please stay with us. Our Rain the Buffalo News is going to be coming up in just a moment.
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or another print disability.